Hey there guys, this is Sam
and Justin
at the Survival Review, and today we are going to be continuing what we were talking about last time with the Deep Red, Dario Argento, and moving on to possibly, is definitely his most popular film, his most well-known film, Suspiria.
Yes.
It's his most well-known film for a very good reason. This movie is an experience.
It really is.
I think everyone should see this. If there's any Italian horror film that you need to see, it's Suspiria. And Deep Red. Watch Deep Red too.
Yeah, Deep Red's awesome.
But this is giallo. This is the movie to watch for that genre, that little subsection of film. For mostly visual reasons, the story isn't anything crazy complex or anything super special, but the visuals are so spectacular in this film, and the soundtrack, much like what we mentioned last time, is incredible. That it creates this atmosphere. This movie just oozes creepy atmosphere, and it's just phenomenal. So as far as the plot goes, it's, like I said, fairly simple. It follows this girl who goes off to Germany. She's from New York. Goes off to Germany to go to this dance school. It's the most renowned dance school in the world. And if you want to be a fucking ballet dancer, you go to this school. The movie gives off this tone of just every single person in Germany is an asshole. It just starts off, it's pouring rain, and she's just trying to get a taxi, and she can't even get a fucking taxi in the pouring rain. That's a perfect start to this movie, because there's nobody on her side.
No, not really.
So she finally does get a taxi, gets to this school, and there's this girl, and this is pretty important, just little thing to start off the movie. This girl is screaming something as she's leaving the school and runs off into the rain, and that's the last she sees of her. And that very same night, this girl, who very clearly is upset by something at the school, gets murdered. In a similar sort of style to Deep Red and all these other giallo movies. It's that whodunit slasher style thing where you just see the arm, and it's even more stylized than any of these other giallo movies.
It's the style of Deep Red, but times 50.
Yes, it's everything in this movie is red or blue or a little bit of green, but it's just a really, really vibrantly colored movie.
It really is. It's interesting, because when you think of horror, you think of dark, muted colors, but this is the exact opposite of that.
It's the exact opposite, and it works perfectly. It creates a similar dreadful atmosphere that something dark and dreary could do, just in a completely different way through a different method. So after this girl gets killed, everybody at the school kind of finds out about the murder, and they're all kind of freaked out about it, but they just kind of move along with everything. Our main character, Susie, tries to continue school, but from the very beginning, because of the murder and because of everything, she's just uncomfortable there, and because of the fact that just everybody's a dick. So, and that's one of the things that I think works so well in this movie, is the fact that it plays off of that fear of being in a foreign place, and being uncomfortable with where you are. Even as a little kid going off summer camp, you feel that fear of I'm not going to know anybody. And usually once you get there, you make a friend or something. She just doesn't.
She makes one friend.
One friend, Sarah. That's the one friend. She feels like she can't trust anybody, and it creates this sort of paranoid feeling.
But then there's just a lot of weird things keep happening. A lot of people end up dying, just out of nowhere.
Obviously.
So it's there's a lot of mystery of what's going on, what's causing these murders, who's doing this.
Yes. And the answer to all that, which is kind of, I won't say subtly foreshadowed with the music, because from the very beginning, the theme, there's just people whispering, "Witch! Witch!" And it's really creepy. But it kind of gives you the idea that this place is full of witches. And that's essentially what this movie is just bunch of witches in a school, and there's really not too much more to it as far as story goes. It's just her trying to sort of piece together what's going on, and eventually discovering that it's witches. Sarah, her friend, obviously helping her with that.
That kind of leads to kind of the one real flaw with the movie, which is the story. Which in that I feel the most of this movie just kind of coasts by on the crazy style and just atmosphere, and there's a little hint, a little bit of mystery throughout. But that's about it until you get to this one scene that's just the exposition dump of oh yeah, it's witches.
Yes. It all sort of comes at once. I mean, it feels like the movie's building up to something, but it felt like they could have revealed a little more information throughout and
it's
done
like
it a little
also
smoother.
just talking to this guy who we never see before or later in the movie, and he's just like telling her about the history of witches and the history of the school.
And the thing that's so funny about that scene to me is like she's talking to this psychologist first, and he's like, I'll put you together with this guy who he wrote a book that's like the psychology of magic or something, and he's the final word on this subject. And you think he's gonna say, like, explain to her why, oh yeah, this is why it's like not healthy to believe in witches and all this. No, he just tells her, yes, witches are real, and this woman who ran your school was definitely a witch, probably still is a witch, and there are definitely still witches around, so be careful of witches. It's just like, okay, all right, Jesus, I guess witches are a thing.
Yeah, but it's not the like most well put together thing. It's like, imagine that scene at the end of Psycho where like the doctor explains what's going on with Norman Bates.
That happens at like the beginning of the third act.
Yeah, like right before the climax. And he just pops up and goes, oh yeah, so this is what's going on. Yeah. All right. And that's it.
So there you go. And then you just go on with the story. You never see that character again.
Yeah.
It kind of grinds the movie to a little bit of a halt, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Because everything after that and before that is so good.
Well, yeah, because on the climax it just goes nuts.
Yeah, the climax is insane.
So you're not even thinking about like the weird exposition stuff. You're just like, what the fuck's going on here?
That all makes up for it. And, and overall you have just a really fantastic horror film.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the last video, but the score by Goblin is incredible.
It's easily, I'd say, their best.
Yeah.
And I think most people agree on that. Like we mentioned with Deep Red, where that movie kind of doesn't use it quite so well at some moments. Some of it feels inappropriately used in some scenes. This movie, it is used perfectly.
Yeah.
Every single song.
Yes.
Everything. It's just fantastic. The theme, which is iconic, is used throughout the film. It's just every single time it like sends shivers down your spine. And it's just so
matching that with like the imagery is so perfect. There's so many just memorable shots.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why the one shot that always sticks out to me is like, well, first off, there's this disgusting scene where the worms are like all over the place.
The maggots are coming through the ceiling.
Yeah.
And you've got close-ups of their feet walking all over them.
Yeah.
And it's just nasty. There's so many, like you said, just images in this movie that stick with you.
But then that leads to a scene where they all just kind of sweep in kind of like this big like area, just like all together.
Yeah.
And it's later on at night, and all the lights are off, and all of a sudden you hear this like breathing, and you see just kind of like behind their curtain, just like in silhouette, is like this person clearly like lying down on a bed, just heavy breathing, and it's just such a creepy image.
Yeah.
And it's just eerie because it's like, oh, what's behind that?
Yeah,
it's like,
who is this person that's snoring here?
Yeah, it feels like something that would happen in a dream. Like, there's a scene later on where it's Sarah, she's being attacked, and first off, it's just this like chase scene. She's trying to like run away, and she gets up on this window, and she's about to get through. Like, okay, she's gonna get away safe, but she lands in a bunch of wire.
Yeah, a bunch of wire, and it's cutting her up a bit, but she's completely tangled in it, and she can't get out. It's so bizarre.
But also, like, her just trying to get up and trying to reach through, but like it keeps pushing her back.
Yeah,
that's like right out of a dream. That's like your worst nightmare.
Where you just can't move. You're trying your hardest, and it's just inescapable.
Yeah, and that's exactly what that moment is. Yeah, and it's just terrifying.
Yeah. Everything about this movie is unsettling.
Yeah.
And great for this time of year. This is like the perfect October movie.
Yeah.
Or the perfect October soundtrack. Just put this on while you're walking around your house doing things.
Yeah. And just like most of these Italian horror films, every character has some sort of weird quirk to them. And this is the exact same thing we said in the Deep Red review, but it's still true to this movie.
Yeah, and it adds so much personality to it.
Yeah.
You've got like the blind pianist.
Like the blind pianist.
I love him. His death is like the most unexpected, shocking thing ever. I remember when I first saw this movie, that like even at that point it was hard to like really surprise me in a horror movie, and that was like a really like, whoa, damn, that's so cool. I definitely say that this movie is more gory than Deep Red as well.
Yeah.
And several of the other Argento movies that I've seen, they really kind of go all out with it.
Oh yeah.
And much like with Deep Red and pretty much all of Argento's movies, it's really just this weird vibrant red blood.
Yeah.
A lot like Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, where it doesn't look quite regal, but
it's like a heightened reality sort of.
Yeah, and also the deaths are so unexpected and bizarre that it still makes you kind of flinch a little and react to it, because you're not expecting the person to die in that sort of way.
Yes.
Like the opening death scene.
The opening death scene's so incredible.
Well, first he's like getting stabbed a bunch of times.
A bunch of times, it like through the heart.
Yeah.
Literally just a shot of a heart that gets stabbed. And then her head crashes through the stained glass window, which... Well, I don't think there's a window in this movie that isn't stained glass. No. It's just everything is stained glass in Germany. But yeah, she crashes down, and then the woman who is down below gets glass in the face. It's just crazy.
It's insane.
And
what's also interesting is that even though we're mentioning all this crazy, grotesque stuff, this movie has like a classy feel to it at the same time.
It's both disgusting but also beautiful.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's like it's a work of art.
Yeah, and also like this movie is about like a dance school that's primarily like all female. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't feel the need to have like a bunch of nude scenes and kind of like over the top like like stuff like that.
It doesn't feel sleazy. Like this movie, the same story in the hands of like any other director at the time, would have been just a sleazy, gross whatever slasher.
There would have been a couple shower scenes in there and like stuff like that.
But this movie takes the high road and it doesn't need any of that.
No, it doesn't.
So I guess we've spoiled a little bit, nothing too much. We do want to talk a little bit about the ending. So if you haven't seen the movie, definitely don't watch this bit. But the ending is one of the craziest parts of the movie. We've been building up to these witches, and we haven't really seen... I mean, we've seen, obviously, the people that are the witches, but we haven't even seen like the witch's lair or anything like that. And that's where the end of the movie takes you. She finally remembers what this girl was saying, what it meant. Mm-hmm. A secret and iris, which was a way to open a door into the secret lair of the witches. And she sees them performing some kind of weird ritual, and she finds Sarah's body. And she finds the room with the main witch, the leader of the witches. And she's sleeping there again in silhouette. Mm-hmm. And she accidentally knocks over like a peacock with a bunch of like balls on it, and it wakes her up. And it's got this disgusting... grisly voice.
Oh, yeah.
And that scene, she flips it and there's nothing there. The image of that weird outline is the strangest thing. I love it. It's so unique in such a weird way, but the witch is invisible because witches can do magic.
Yeah.
And she stabs where she saw this weird shiny outline thing.
Yeah.
It's nothing, again, complex or anything, but it's just a really visually interesting climax.
Yeah.
And
then, of course, it ends just an over-the-top way where the whole place just, like, crumbling down.
It's crumbling. She runs past the witches, and they're, like, bleeding from the eyes and mouth, and it's so great. And she just gets out of the place and then roll credits.
Yeah.
That's like it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's just a brilliant movie.
It is.
I can't recommend it enough. Some people would call it style over substance. I don't think that's the case. I mean, it sort of is, but not... I wouldn't really use that as a negative.
Yeah.
The substance is the style.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing that you want. That's the meat of this movie, is the style of it. And I think that alone makes it worth a watch.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Of all the movies we're going to talk about, for me, this is probably the one I recommend to watch around Halloween the most.
Yeah.
I really love watching this one around this time of year. So that's all we're going to be talking about as far as Argento films.
Yes.
But we're not done with Halloween movies.
No.
And we're going to talk about some more very appropriate ones to talk about around Halloween.
Yes.
So until next time, we'll see you guys later.